What's up guys, Jake here, and welcome to the first episode of the U versus series. In this series I will be comparing different softwares and tech gadgets to see which ones you guys should buy. Today I'm going to be comparing the top two server OSs, UnRAID and FreeNAS. The first big difference between FreeNAS and UnRAID is that UnRAID uses the XFS file system and FreeNAS uses the ZFS file system. Now you may be wondering, what is the ZFS file system and what is the XFS file system? Well, the XFS file system uses each drive up until they are full and then moves on to the next one. Unlike ZFS, where it spreads out all of your data across all of the drives. The XFS file system makes it easier in UnRAID to keep adding hard drives. So let's say you have 3 hard drives and you get another one and you want to add it in, you can do that. Whereas it's harder to do this in FreeNAS because it uses the ZFS file system. Another difference is that FreeNAS lets you create multiple VDEVs, where in UnRAID you can't. So this means that if I were to have a group of hard drives, I can create groups of hard drives in FreeNAS, whereas in UnRAID you can only create shares and it has one VDEV for all of the drives plugged in. Another big difference is that in UnRAID you can have a parity drive. In FreeNAS you can have what's called a spare drive, but it doesn't really do the same thing. Parity drive automatically will, if one of your, let's say you have 2 hard drives like I do, and let's say you have a third one that's the same amount of storage or a bit bigger, you can stick that in, and let's say one of my hard drives fails, this one will automatically kick in and start rebuilding all the data that would have been lost. So that's what's really cool about UnRAID, is that you can have this parity drive, where in FreeNAS there is no such thing. Cost is another difference. UnRAID starts at $60 and goes up to $130 depending on how many hard drives you want to have plugged in, whereas FreeNAS is completely free. FreeNAS is also open source, but UnRAID is not. The transfer speeds on both are very fast, as long as you have the right Ethernet cables or a network switch. FreeNAS is a bit faster when transferring files. This does somewhat depend on the share methods that you use, but they both have AFP, SMB, and NFS, etc. They all have those and some other ones as well. Another big difference is that FreeNAS needs to be installed on an SSD. And this SSD cannot be partitioned, like have Windows on half the drive and FreeNAS on the other. It takes up the entire drive, even though the storage on it does not take a lot up. Whereas UnRAID, you just use a USB thumb drive to boot, and then it uses mostly the RAM to keep it going. And this allows you to use that SSD that you would have had to install FreeNAS on as, let's say, a cache drive. And this will make your transfer speeds a bit faster. Another difference is that UnRAID is Linux-based, whereas FreeNAS is based on FreeBSD. And this means that UnRAID does have a web browser built in. I believe it's Firefox it uses, and some other utilities, an actual UI built into it. Which lets you configure more settings if you didn't want to go on to another computer, whereas FreeNAS is just the bare bones configuration, so you can customize stuff a little bit, but it's more like your typical what a server would look like. They both do have web interfaces though, and you just type in the IP address on any one of your computers on the local network, whether it be on Wi-Fi or Ethernet, and then you can configure all of your settings through there. I am personally using UnRAID because it integrates with my workflow a bit better, but FreeNAS is still a great option, and I've had some trouble choosing between them. So I hope this video does help if you are building a server, and helps with your decision about what software you should use. Stay tuned for an installation guide on how to install UnRAID, and then another one on how to install FreeNAS coming up in the next couple of days. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Then also please make sure to subscribe, and then also hit that little bell icon so that you do receive notifications when I do upload, and I will catch you guys in the next one.